Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Garbage Station 666 from the Am I Overreacting subreddit. And it says, am I overreacting for telling my boyfriend to plan his own birthday dinner? And just before we do get into it, I want to give you a quick trigger warning that there's a brief mention of miscarriage within the story, so if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description, along the timeline below. Thank you. Hello people, I 30 female and my boyfriend, now 28 male, have been together for 5 years. This year I decided to throw a surprise party for him since his birthday was on a Monday. I did it the Saturday. I was able to use my friend's Airbnb that wasn't currently being rented that weekend. Have a nicer place and to reduce suspicion since I do an overboard deep clean. I didn't have any help and I work about 70 hours a week, so I decided to go to my local grocery deli department to get food and the cake for the party. I ordered some decorations and went on my lunch during the week to set them up. I put a lot of thought and effort into this and I spent a lot of time getting things together and planning. On the day of the party, Saturday, I gave him his gifts and I spent all day doing one of his hobbies with him and trying to keep him busy. He wasn't happy that I wasn't doing anything for his birthday, as he knew of, and he wanted to do other things, but that would spoil the plans. He wanted to go to a city 2 hours away and spend the weekend out there, but I needed him here for the party he didn't know about yet. I made some plans with a friend, so he went out with them while I ran to the Airbnb to finish setting up things. It was a pretty good turnout, about 25 people. Our friend got him the house and he was very surprised. Everyone ate, drank, and had a good time. Lots of laughs. The night went really great. Everybody left. I cleaned it all up by myself while he sat down and brought things into the house when we got home. That night he thanked me a million times and kept telling me how amazing the party was. The next morning I was beat. We got home late and I cleaned up everything by myself. I worked all week and had a health issue on top of everything with the party and I needed a break. I bought him food from his favorite places all day, even when he had a lot of leftovers from the party. He pretty much was upset all day because he didn't want to be home. I told him to go hang out with his friends, but he refused. I asked him what he wanted to do, and he would just pout and not want to do anything other than go to that town 2 hours away. He wouldn't even attempt to ask his friends if they wanted to go, and I think it might be because he wanted me to pay for everything, but I was pretty tapped out. I spent pretty much $1,000 for everything for the weekend, including gifts and getting things to participate in his hobby that I don't even really like. I just put on a smile and did it for him. I don't make crazy money, so in general, that's a lot for me. I go to work Monday and he asked me if we could go to dinner since it was actually his birthday. I said yes. He told me that I needed to invite all his friends, call in a reservation and pay for it to make up for him for not planning anything on his actual birthday, and only one day and not the whole weekend. I feel insulted and hurt. I told him he can do it himself and I wouldn't be attending. I reminded him that on my birthday a few months back, he only did things he wanted to do, and I didn't get anything planned for me with friends or something special. Not even a simple $15 cake that he can just grab from the Walmart bakery 2 minutes down the road. He's never put half as much effort into my birthday as I have done for his for the 5 years we've been together. I understand this is not a competition, and we don't really one-up each other on anything, but I don't get how I ruined his birthday. This obviously turned into a fight, and since we live together, he's been staying with Dad because I ruined his birthday. I don't know if we're breaking up or what because he will not talk to me. I'm hurt and insulted. I don't understand how I'm the bad guy here. Am I overreacting for telling him that he should plan his own dinner and I did not attend? A commenter says to OP, all the friends he wanted you to invite to dinner. They were invited to the party, yes? I'll say not overreacting, but it seems like you planned something you would like and did not listen to what he wanted. I hope he says yes, they came to the party, and he did not tell me he wanted to do that until Saturday. We go there at least once a month already. Commenter says, alright, I retract the final clause of my comment. Hope he says, I do appreciate the feedback. Commenter says, not overreacting, it may not have been on the day, but you planned a whole big party and went all out on it. And then he was ungrateful and complained expecting you to do even more still, while he does literally nothing for your birthday. Sounds like you'll be better off without him, to be honest, and he doesn't sound like he really likes you. Opie replied saying he seemed to be very happy about it and thanked me so much to turn around and do all that. I'm so numb. I feel like letting this relationship go. It's been good up until this point. The commenter says, girl, the fact that you're questioning this makes me wonder how low the bar has to get. Not overreacting, majorly underreacting. Opie says, yeah, therapy has been scheduled and I'm going to talk to him tonight about splitting up. I'll update. Commenter replies saying, what was his response when you pointed out he put in minimal effort for your birthday, but expects a whole weekend of plans for his? Opie says, he just went on about how he tried everything he could on my birthday, and he didn't get to do what he really wanted, which was go to that town 2 hours away. I told him that on Sunday. I told him to go. Go with your friends, get out of the house. I'm just not feeling well. I'm beat. He blamed it on me, saying I didn't want to be alone. I told him I was fine with being alone. I don't know why he was bringing it up from a previous incident we had from a month ago. That had nothing to do with this. The commenter says not overreacting, so he loved the surprise party, but it wasn't enough because it wasn't on his actual birthday. He sounds childish. I guess next time just ask him what he wants and do that, even if it's just dinner with his friends 2 hours away. Opie says he just wanted to have dinner in town. I doubt it even happened, but I'm not going to reach out to people and ask because I just don't care anymore. Even on the Sunday I told him to go to that town with some friends or something because I just wasn't feeling well. We go to that town at least once a month for him. It's not a big deal to me. We do the exact same things when we go. Sassy says, not overreacting, he's acting like a child at almost 30. You ruined his birthday by planning an entire surprise party that he wouldn't do the one thing he said he wanted. Because it seems like you'd have to put in a modicum of effort. You all need to talk, and you need to decide if you want the rest of your life to be spent being told the effort you put in isn't enough. Does he work? Because what the hell? Opie says in 2024 he did plan a dinner and surprise me with a few of my friends there. I was grateful even though I didn't want to go because I was miscarrying at the time. My birthday generally gets overshadowed because it's on a major holiday. Commenter replies saying, and did he pay for everybody at your birthday dinner? And were there as many friends at your dinner as the number of friends he wanted you to pay for? Opie says they all paid for themselves and he paid for me. That's why I'm so freaking confused. I don't know how many people because I never got that far to even ask. I doubt they even went to dinner. At least the 25 that were at the party, I'm guessing. And that's not including people I invited that didn't come to the party, so who knows who would have even showed up. One more commenter says to OP, I hate surprise parties. I mean, he said what he wanted to do. So the party happened and then he wasn't able to have his day his own way. I kinda get it. He sounds like a brat, but guys can be brats. Relationships are hard. OP responded saying, he would just tell me, I don't know, for what he wanted until Saturday when everything was already set in stone. I've had parties for him similar to this in the past and he always loved them. I had no problem with doing the dinner, I just didn't want to do all the extra at last minute and I didn't have the funds to pay for that. Even Sunday I told him to just go to town with his friends because I wasn't feeling well and I don't have an issue with it. I don't know why I had to be there or be the one to manage everything. He got off of work at noon that day when I didn't get off until 6 and he still expected me to plan a last minute dinner with everybody that was literally at the party when he was at home playing video games and I was supposed to be working. Opie then added in the comments that I called him and told him that we need to speak face to face today. He said sure and asked if he should spend $700 on something. I told him that's the majority of his money he has on his side of the account, and just argued with me when I told him he shouldn't. I'm taking my portion out of that account and breaking up with him tonight. Commenter says, I don't get why he asked you about that $700, but if I'm delusional enough, I'd think he'll try to mend this up with some expensive gift, a ring or something. If that's the case, don't forgive him. You've just realized how peaceful it is to not have him around. Dump his ass. Opie replies saying, we have a shared account for bills, emergencies, and just to save, and we talk about taking money out of it before anything. He bought a gun at the pawn shop. Nothing for me. What? Commenter says, OP, did you finally get to talk to him? Opie says no. It's a little more complicated than just a text, and put his stuff on the lawn, unfortunately. I waited at his dad's house for an hour yesterday, and he never showed up or answered my calls. Commenter says, what? Text him, he has an hour to collect his stuff, otherwise you throw it on the streets. Make a stand for yourself. And he knows. Did you talk at all with his dad about it? Opie says no, his dad wasn't home. He owns a busy restaurant and is there a lot. Cue the side eye. My name is on his vehicle and he already has no credit that I know he doesn't care about. And I really need to separate that before he gets mad and ruins mine. The commoner says, "How did it go? You okay?" Opie says, "Been slammed at work with some BS happening there. I do have a little bit of an update when I get a chance to type it out." The commoner says, not overreacting, "Send him home to his mother, who can gather all his little friends and give him a party at McDonald's. You gave him an amazing celebration and he was pouty, obnoxious man-child. You deserve a whole lot better." And Opie says he doesn't even know his mum since she left when he was a baby, so who even knows? So then Opie did come in with an update and says, "Thank you for all the comments and people checking up on me. Have a little bit of context and update of what's going on currently. I was supposed to meet up with him that night to break up with him and talk about how we will need to separate things. My name is primary on his vehicle, but he's a co-signer and on the title, so I couldn't report it stolen or anything. He has shit credit and anger issues. Yes, I know, shocker. So I've been feeling he would just stop paying and ruin mine for fun. We also had a joint bank account where we would save money, put things towards bills, the house, the cats and so on. I did take all of my money out. There's a certain amount allocated that we have for ourselves or our fun trip money, etc. So when he called to spend a big chunk of his side, that is not uncommon. Yes, he did buy a gun. I told him it was stupid, but he has quite a few, so it was not uncommon. It was not to try and hurt or threaten me. So anyway, he did not show up for the meeting at his dad's house and his dad wasn't there. I just went home. I got a weird text message that morning from a random number calling me an arsehole and it blocked me. Never figured out who it was. He wasn't answering me for a good while, but this wasn't unusual for his behavior since he left. Well, I got a call yesterday afternoon. They found his car abandoned and smashed with nobody in it. Thank God for Gap. I was 3 hours away dealing with an issue at one of my father's stores from my city. I finally called his dad and he was very surprised to hear what I had to say. You guessed it. He was told a whole different story that made me look awful. Tried telling his dad that he paid for all the party and I didn't do a thing, and told him that he couldn't celebrate his birthday and all kinds of insane shit. His dad did agree that my story made a lot more sense, but I digress. Apparently my ex had been going through bottles of alcohol like water and his dad was trying to kick him out of his house. He was drunk and crashed the car by himself. Thank God he didn't hurt anybody. He started to walk, who knows his destination, and walked through people's yards and the cops got called on him from somebody in the neighborhood, I'm guessing. He fought the cops and got arrested. I still haven't talked to him or know if he ever got out or what. I've given some major things of his to his dad, and he knows it is over between us. I don't think he will do anything to me, but I'm kind of uneasy. I'm looking for a new place to live. All I can say on the back of this is thank goodness Opie got out of there when she did. At first I thought she was just like dealing with an ungrateful man-child who, just didn't appreciate the effort that she put in, but by the end it was obvious that there was much bigger issues bubbling under the surface here. It had me really concerned when it was talking about buying a gun. Opie said that's kind of normal, but it was still worrying given, his potential anger issues, his drinking, getting drunk enough to crash a car and abandon it, and wandering through people's garden, fighting the police and getting arrested. It's a pattern of behavior, right? And after it all I can say is I really hope that Opie stays safe. Breakups with people who react this unpredictably can become incredibly dangerous very, very quickly. But I really do hope that he leaves Opie alone. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Our next story is from a throwaway account from the What Should I Do subreddit. It's a story that's been covered in the past but has a new update to it, so please feel free to use the timestamps if you want to. It's titled, "My 35 female friend slapped my bum on a night out, leaving a handprint. My husband, 30 male, doesn't believe it was her. How to convince him?" Went out for a friend's birthday on Friday night and had a few drinks. Early on in the night, I tripped over before I'd even had a drink, and I ended up on all fours and one of my friends ran and slapped my bum. We all laughed and the night carried on, and I thought nothing more of it. When I got home around 1 AM, my husband was still awake in bed. I undressed to get into bed, and that's when he noticed I had a hand mark on my bum. He instantly jumped out of bed and started demanding to know what it was and who did it. I started a bit because I couldn't even remember, then it dawned on me. So I told him what happened, but he didn't believe me. He asked my phone and obviously found nothing too serious, but just said I'd deleted everything to cover my tracks. I went to the bathroom to have a look in the mirror, and there was a definite handprint on there. He followed me and we stood there arguing for over half an hour, and every time I tried to leave, As I was cold and naked, he'd stopped me and accused me of trying to run away. He said this doesn't sound like my friend at all, which is true, as she's a very timid, quiet person. He also said the handprint is too big for a woman, but my friend is tall. She's around 6 foot and does have big hands. I even ended up bringing in my friend to corroborate my story, and she even offered to come around to prove the handprint is hers by putting her hand on the print. He said we'd made up the story between us all and used the tall friend as the culprit, as she'd have the biggest handprint. I asked the group chat if any of them had a video, but they don't. All weekend we've been having this discussion, and he doesn't believe me. The handprint is gone now, but he can't let it go and keeps constantly asking me. It's 4:45 a.m. here, and he woke up at 4 to ask about it. How can I make him believe me? I don't know what to do. A downvoted commenter said, "Sue her for sexual assault and file a police report. Legitimize it." I hope he said no chance. Another commenter says, "I know this isn't what you want to hear, but he either trusts you or he doesn't. You can't make him trust you." I hope he says, "This is what I don't get. I've never given a reason not to." Commenter replies saying, "Has he been cheated on before? I can see it striking a chord if that's the case. If not, it sounds like projection or red pill shit on social media." I hope he says, "Not that I know of. I said to him yesterday he's projecting." Commenter says, "Is this a new behavior or has he always accused you of cheating?" I hope he says, "First time he's ever accused me." Commenter says, "What you should do is ring the bar, explain the situation and ask for CCTV footage. If they say yes, make a bet with him of something that'll hurt. If it's my friend, you X. If it's a man, I Y. Do you want to take the bet or do you believe me? You need to find something he'll regret that'll make him think twice about pulling this kind of bullshit again, but give him the opportunity to stop on his own. Then go look at the footage and hold him to it. Knock him back into his place." I hope he says it was outside walking down the road. I tripped over a drain cover. Commenter says, "Sounds like your husband has some issues to begin with. You're allowed to go out and have fun with friends. It seems odd he just didn't believe you and thinks all of your friends are in on it. Is there a history of cheating here?" I hope he says, "Yeah, it's starting to feel like projection to me. No, nothing at all. I've never so much as looked at another man." Commenter says, "Okay, so logically the facts. You couldn't remember it happening even though you were sober. It would have to be really hard to leave a full handprint through clothing to have it still there 5, 6, 7 hours later. Slap your own bare thigh and it's gone in an hour or so. He's got every right to question it and the right to not believe you because it honestly sounds sketchy. Generally to have a full handprint, not bruised as you said it went away, would have to be hard on bare skin. Is this post to make the story believable?" I hope he says no because he won't see this post. I was wearing a thin dress and a thong. An outfit he chose out for me, I might add, and I was on my hands and knees. But the skin was tight and I'm on blood thinners, so I do mark and bruise easily. All facts he knew. Commenter says, "Your timid friend just put you on the path to a divorce, which I think is really ironic. I think it's also possible that your husband has been harboring resentment for late night girls' nights out for a while, and this was the final straw. I also do think that his behavior and reaction is over the top and abusive." Opie says, "I go out 3 or 4 times a year. He goes out every weekend." So it was 6 days after that Opie came in with her first update and says, "To start with, I'll clear a few things up from my last post. My husband chose my outfit for me that night and it was a very thin dress with a thong underneath, so there was very little protection of my derriere. I was on all fours laughing so my bum was sticking up and then I heard footsteps running towards me and got absolutely thunderclapped on my ass. The sound echoed around the housing estate. And you know a slap is good when both the slapper and the slappee are in agony. All night that cheek was warmer than the other. I'm also on blood thinners, which means I mark and bruise very easily. Second thing is my stammering when I told him. Might be too much info, but I was doing a striptease for him while he was in bed, and as I let my dress drop, I stuck my bum out. So it was right near him. And he screamed at the top of his voice, "What the fuck is that?" Then he jumped out of bed and got in my face, making me fall onto the bed and screamed, "Who the fuck did that?" It took me a couple of seconds to realize what he meant. If he asked normally, I'd have said Emily slapped my ass. Also, I wasn't drunk like so many people said. I had 3 glasses of wine over 6 hours. All the men who said a married woman shouldn't be out without her husband, and there was at least 5 of you, are gross. My husband goes out every weekend, but I do it 3 times a year, and I'm for the streets. People have asked about our sex life. We used to have sex, or I'd give him oral nearly every day, but the last few months it's dried up to once a week. I've brought this up with him as I need it more. Also, the not serious thing he found on my phone, which a lot of men took to mean I'd been messaging someone else, was a porn video. I'd favorited because I like it. Right, onto the update. It's been over a week. He still doesn't believe me, and I've told him I want to split up with him. Emily offered to come around on the night and he said no. I told him to speak to all of my friends and he said no. When I said, look at the rip in my dress from where I fell and my bloody knees, he said that's from giving me head. How aggressively does he think I dropped to my knees? He looked through my phone and found nothing. When I asked to look through his, he said, no, I'm not the one on trial here. He's woke me up 3 times in the night to berate me. He's burnt all of my going out clothes. He's threatened to post photos and videos of me to show the world what a slur I am. He's also grabbed me twice and pushed me on the sofa, once which I will be informing my brother about later when I see him for Mother's Day. So all in all, a shit week. I've told him to get the fuck out of my house and I'll be divorcing him. He's not worked for 6 months and has no savings, and the house was mine before I met him, and he's never paid towards the mortgage or any repair or upkeep work, so he's getting fuck all. A commenter says, can't work without trust, and he actively does not want to trust you. So bye bye. P.S. I hope everything from here on out works for you. Opie says, that's pretty much what I've said. I've never been treated as untrustworthy in any aspect of my life and I don't like it. Commenter says, girl, get security cameras and for sure talk to your brother. If anyone shoved or laid hands on my family, I wouldn't even care about the jail time I'd face. Opie says, I've already got them around my house and got dog watching cameras inside. A downvoted commenter says, I will never understand why women waste their time and life with men like this. He can't even afford to get upset. Make better choices. Opie says he's never acted like this before. This is the first time. Am I supposed to see into the future? Commenter says, he chose your outfit. He sent you out in the most provocative outfit he could. He's not been having sex with you as much as you like lately, and he jumped straight to you cheating. I reckon he's been cheating on you and wanted to set you up so he could claim you cheated on him. Then he can leave the relationship to be with his mistress. Opie simply replies, I think you're right. Commenter says he's accusing you because he has something to hide for sure. He's messaging girls, watches OnlyFans, something. He definitely thought about cheating. Good for you for taking out the trash. Opie says I genuinely don't care if he's watching porn or subscribing to OnlyFans, but there's something going off if he won't let me see his phone. Commenter says he refuses to accept the truth because it damages his ego. He's doubling down and refuses to be proven wrong. Opie says, I said that's why he won't talk to my friends because he's too proud to be wrong. Commenter says, sounds like he's been cheating. Also weird that he hasn't worked or put anything towards the house. No savings? Good riddance. The trash took itself out. What a bum. Opie says he was at uni when we met and since has floated around jobs and that's it. Commenter says, good for you. You have to divorce him. How long were you married for? How did he take it? Imagine him having to explain why he's getting divorced. He threw a fit about the dumbest thing ever. Opie says been together 10 years, married for 4. He didn't seem to care. Commenter says I bet your bottom dollar he will walk away and through divorce proceedings you will end up having to pay him in lieu of equity for the house. Opie says I won't pay him anything. It's different here in England. The house predates him and any payments towards it have come from my bank account. 2.5 weeks later, Opie says I've had a lot of messages from people asking for an update, so here it is. It's a pretty uneventful one as nothing has happened, but I try and clear things up. In my first update I mentioned kicking him out and he's still out and I haven't heard from him at all. My brother did go to see him and his brothers after Mother's Day, so maybe that's why I haven't heard from him. I did take some advice then and had new security cameras installed and lighting all around my house and changed every lock. I know it's a bit paranoid, but I've also screwed my letterbox shut and got a postbox outside so he can't pour anything nasty through there. I also changed my company car every couple of days in case he puts a tracker on it. I'm really overthinking it, but just being sure. I was also a bit petty and posted a picture on my Instagram of me on all fours and Emily with her hand on my bum. Lol. I'm not sticking up for my ex here, but I do want to clear up the issue of him choosing my outfits. That's always been my idea. I saw it on a film when I was younger and always thought it seemed sexy, my partner choosing an outfit that they find me attractive in, and it makes me excited to get home in it so they can see me in it again. I've also had a lot of messages from both men and women, sadly insulting me for being out at that time and saying it's embarrassing a woman of my age behaving in such a way. I've also had a few women message me and tell me that I'm a slur for doing a striptease for my husband and I'm degrading myself. No, it's not degrading to try and turn my husband on. So you bang me until the sun comes up. Women enjoy sex too. Anyway, thank you everyone for caring. It really means a lot. So there was a few comments before the next update. The first one said, I hope you put in a police report about him pushing you around, destroying your clothes and threatening to post videos of you. You need it on record in case it escalates. Opie says it won't escalate as I'm not with him anymore. Commenter says, has your man always been okay with you going out like that without him? I'm just curious. Opie says, yeah, never an issue before. In fact, he'd encourage it. He goes out every weekend and it was never a problem on the odd occasion when I did. Commenter says, what do you mean your house? You mean his house that he is paying for? Opie says, no, my house that I bought before I was with him, and that he has never paid towards the mortgage or repairs on. How misogynistic that you assume because he's the man he's paying for it. He hasn't worked for 6 months, and when he did, he earned minimum wage. Commenter says, take a vacation, just leave for a while. Don't tell anyone who speaks to this man where you are going. Absolute silence will help cool the situation, hopefully. Also install a camera outside that looks onto your front doors. This guy sounds like a real loser. Stay safe and don't let him have a second of your time. If he has stuff at your place, dump it at someone else's house and let that person say they have his stuff. Check your phone for tracking software too. Stay safe. Opie says I'm already booked to go to Krakow next week anyway. Opie then responds to multiple downvoted commenters about Mother's Day isn't until May and then says, not everywhere is America. So 2.5 months later, Opie comes in again and says, well, this has been quiet for nearly 3 months. Not heard from him or his friends. Everything with the divorce going smoothly. Had no strange behavior online or in person. And Tuesday night, me and some friends, all women, went to a local pub to watch the England game. We weren't drinking as we all had work in the morning. We just wanted to soak up the atmosphere. About midway through the first half, I noticed my ex is in there with another woman. She looks nice and I don't think anything more of it. I just carry on with my friends without even looking over again. I didn't tell my friends as I didn't want them looking or talking about it. At the end of one of the most boring matches of football I've ever seen, we are leaving when my friend next to me suddenly drops to the floor and then a bottle hits the floor. I spin around and my ex is stood in the doorway of the pub. He sees what's happened and just turns around and walks back in. My friend isn't knocked out but she's very confused, so we call an ambulance. The police come too and my ex admits what he's done and tells them he was aiming for me but missed. He's arrested and my friend is taken to the hospital. My friend has x-rays and is thankfully okay, just a bit concussed. Her husband is a very rough type, a local down the pub every weekend sniffing coke and getting in trouble type, but he is incredibly devoted to his wife. She's his absolute world, and he was in the hospital in tears when he saw her. Then when we left, he went down to the police station to try and get my ex and got himself arrested. My ex is out on bail now. My friend's husband is looking everywhere for him. I told my brother last night what happened and he's desperate to find him too, but I've asked him to leave it. I haven't heard or seen my ex since he was arrested. Hopefully he's gone into hiding. My brother stayed with me last night just in case. I didn't ask him to and I had to cancel a shag I'd arranged. Lol. So after a couple of quiet months, it sparked back up again, a bit. Thank you all for your support on my last post and for your DMs. Commenter says, good lord, what a stupid man. I'm glad you're okay and that your friend will be okay. I hope your ex gets what he deserves. I hope he says my friend will be okay, but I feel terrible as that was meant for me. I'm hoping he gets time for it, but the police said he'll probably just get a bit of community service. Commenter says, God, what an idiot your ex is, especially as he was out on a date. Opie says, yeah, I know. What was she thinking while he's throwing a glass bottle at his ex? Commenter says, can't you use his motive to get a restraining order against him? Like a deliberate intent to cause bodily harm already sounds like crazy, dangerous bullshit. Get a lawyer. Girl, P.S. I just googled it and yeah, that definitely falls under criminal prosecution because of his confession that he was aiming for you but missed, and that carries a sentence of up to 5 years in prison. Opie says already set them wheels in motion. It's been made a lot easier by the fact he confessed he was trying to hurt me. Commenter says, the audacity to first fuck over a free home as an unemployed bum, being cared for without really reciprocating with a woman who loves you and gets excited about getting him excited by letting him pick clothes, and going back for fuck up seconds like it's an addiction he can't quit. I mean, that's so deeply dumb that there's no excuse. How much money you want to bet that he blames her for everything instead of himself? Oh, and he had to be cheating with all that projection, hiding his phone. Opie says I still think he was cheating on me. I never got proof and I'm over it now. But when I sit and think about it, all the signs are there. Opie on her friend's health progress after the glass bottle incident and says she's had brain scans and there's no damage. Commenter says, I'll bet I know exactly what happened. Your ex is there with his date, probably sees OP at some point, then probably spends his entire date ranting about OP, which should rightly set off all the red flags. OP inadvertently did his date a solid, so she bails, which infuriates the ex further. So he tries to chuck a bottle at OP. OP knows all about the enraged husband and is shitting his pants and hiding somewhere far away. OP says he knows exactly who he hit, which means he lost twice. Commoner says, "Wait, was this the same friend that slapped your ass 3 months ago?" OP says no. She was there, but the bottle hit a different friend. Now, firstly, I have to say I'm relieved that the friend is going to be okay, but that must have been an awful thing to witness for OP, and she's probably going to be carrying guilt for that, even though none of it was her fault. But like one of the commenters was hinting on, I also felt relief for the woman who was on a date with the ex. Imagine getting to see someone's true colors before you get emotionally invested like that. It's got to be a bit of a bonus at the same time, right? You know, you're out what you think is a normal date, then your date spots his ex and then throws a bottle at her. Jesus. Ironically, by completely losing control in that moment, he may have saved that woman from ending up in the exact same nightmare that OP escaped. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day.